Hey everyone, this is Baylor, and in this video we're actually going to create a resources type root for our framework. So in like Ruby on Rails, if you ever looked at it, you can do this thing where you go in and you define your root as a resource, and you give it a controller name, and it automatically creates these 6 roots for you. It sets it up where if you go to your controller name /new, it automatically loads the new action. If you post anything to this location, to your controller, it runs the create action. If you try to go to this location, it goes to your show action. Oh, I don't know what that does exactly. I don't know how that works exactly because I know it also goes to your index action. But then also if you go to your if you go to /edit, then it loads the edit action. If you go to if you put something at your controller name, it updates it, runs the update action, and if you try to delete something, it destroys it. So we're going to recreate something very similar to this, and here we go. So in what we have here from the last video is I've gone ahead and created all my controllers, and I've created my add action, my create action, edit, update, and destroy. What did they name it? Did they name it destroy? Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to put some stuff out here so we can make sure we're actually loading it. We can say echo add action. We're going to make sure that we've got our create action, our edit action, our update action, and our destroy action. Okay, so if we go to welcome /add, you can see that we get our add action. Now here's a bug from the last video that's really easy to fix. We're just going to jump into our router. We're going to scroll down to where we try to load the layout, and when we check if the view path is not empty, so the file actually exists, we replace this. I forgot to set it up where if the file doesn't exist, we still replace this. So I'm just going to duplicate this line, and I'm just going to say that we're just going to make it equal to blank. So if I reload, you can see that goes away. So we're not actually we're actually removing this if the layout doesn't exist. Okay, so what we're going to do is, first of all, let's go to our roots, and let's uncomment this line so we get our resource. And what we'll also do is we're going to go in here and we're going to create a new static function or method called resource, and we're going to pass in our controller. So that'll set us up with that, and what we can do now is we can go ahead and map out some resources. Okay, so first of all, when we go to this new action, we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll just say self get, and when we go to just /, we're going to pass in our controller here. Then we're going to also pass in when we go to /new. Then we're going to load the controller add action. Now the reason we have to name this add instead of we can't name it new is because PHP reserves that name new. Because you actually use that to initialize a new class, so you can't name it new. You have to name it add. So we're going to have to name ours add. You can make this new or you can leave it blank. Like if I don't use this, you can see I can go to an add, but just in case you want to make it more like Ruby on Rails, we can just go to /new, and we load the add action. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is when we post to our main controller. So what we'll do here is we're just going to say self when you post to our controller. What we want to do is we want to load our controller create action. So what this will essentially make it where we can do is when we have a form at our add action, So we'll say form method equals post, and our action equals welcome. So that's our controller name. And we're just going to put in a button here that says save changes. When we actually go and click on this button, it takes us back to our main controller, but we loaded the create action. So we kind of blindly, to the actual user using this, instead of loading the index action, we actually loaded our create action, which allows you to essentially set it up where you don't have to post to /create. You just posted this, and the script automatically figures out, oh, we need to load this one. Okay, so for the edit action, we'll just set it up where when you go to, let's find it. Okay, when we go to get, so we'll say self get, and when we go to our controller /edit, we want to load controller edit. Now, the thing about Rails that's really cool is that whenever you're working with a resource, generally you have a database connected to it. And what you can do essentially is, let's say we were working with a table called categories. We could say, like, we want to go to /1, and when we load that, we want to actually go and load a category name. Now, the thing is, it's kind of hard to actually set it up where it'll automatically load the, like, it'll determine whether we're loading /index, and that's an actual action that we've created, or if we're going to 1. So I'm gonna change it where instead of going to /1, you'd actually go to /edit, / and any characters can be put here. So we'd actually, instead of saying 1 /edit like you would do in Rails, you'll actually go to edit 1 like that. So you can actually see this is your editing number 1, and you can see because we were able to do that, we were able to grab our edit action. And the cool thing about using this regular expression is it can be any characters. We could say like if we wanted to edit based on a slug, you know, like a URL, special URL, then we could say like category 1 like that, and it still works, and we could still grab it and figure out which category we're working with. Okay, so that gives us our edit. Now for the update, it wants you to use a put method, which Sammy actually gives us. Now the thing is, it's a little more challenging to actually get that put method to work. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stay with our edit action. We're going to come in and create a new view for edit, and I'm just going to copy our add action form. But the thing is, we're going to change it so that we have, and this is the way Ruby on Rails does it, because you can't actually change the method to put right here, because the browser will automatically just change that to get. If I do this real quick and click Save Changes, well, you can't see it there. If I just create it, let me put it back in here. Oh, we'll leave it. If I come in here and I create like an input type equals text, value equals hello world. If we do this, let me reload. If we do this, well, we're not getting what I thought we were going to get. It's supposed to actually try to put this, last time I did this put method, it actually put it in the URL. So the best way to do this that's cross-browser is to actually go ahead and use an input type equals hidden and set the name of it equal to underscore method, and the ID, or not the ID, the value equals to put. And what we're going to do here is when we go to /edit 1, then what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so that when the form actually submits, our PHP script's going to check and see if it found a input with the ID or the name of underscore method, and see if its value is equal to put. If it is, we're going to change it. So we'll go to core, because this is going to be something that I don't know where it needs to go exactly. It might be okay to put it in the router somewhere in here. I'm not exactly sure the best place to put this, because we need to make sure it loads before our resources do. So, but we don't want to just run it over and over and over again for every single resource that's defined. So I'm just going to put it at the very top of core, and say if not empty at our post underscore method, then we're going to check and see, and we'll also just do like this. We'll say, and we'll do it like this, and it's in the array, and we'll say our post method of being an array of put and delete, because we're going to do that one later. As you can see right here, that if we go to the delete method, then we load the destroy action. So we're just making sure that the user hasn't gone in here and tried to change this. Then what we're going to do, because the thing is, you can change this to post or get or whatever you want, but if they try to change this to post, we don't want to play around with it. We want to only make sure that it's put or delete. So what we're going to do is, if it is one of those two things, let's take a look at Sammy and figure out how it handles it. So in the process function, you can see it says if is set the server HTTP underscore X requested with. And it's trying to make sure that our method equals the type. And right here, you can see that in our router, wherever I put it, our router, when we run this put method, actually sets this to put. So we know what we need to do is go into our core. We need to put this right here. So we need to say our server requested with equals, and we're just going to say uppercase how do you do uppercase? String to upper. Oh, that, I like that a whole lot. Okay, and we're going to say our post method. I don't know. Yeah, this is only going to pass if it's put or delete, so we don't really need to do a whole lot here, but we just want to make sure that it is uppercase. Okay, so when I run this, you can see we get our create action, which is not what I want. Let's echo this out and see what it is equal to normally. If I post it here, you can see that we don't even get it. Now, the PHP website recommends using requested with, but neither one of these are even showing up. So I'm not exactly sure how Sammy realizes that this is actually equal to post or put. Because it recognizes that we'd want to use the post, and it does put it over here in Sammy. Let's echo out this Sammy method real quick. So when I do this, you can see it finds it as post, 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 post. So it's able to find our requested with. Let's see if we can figure out how to access that. So in our core, it's not finding either one of these. Yeah, undefined index. PHP server. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and kind of research this a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure where I left off, and I feel rather dumb because this is what I put in here, and it's only supposed to work if it's an AJAX request. So looking back, I actually changed it where use request method. That's what it needs to be. Let me reload, make sure this is up and going still. What he uses and what we're using is the request method. So we just need to go into our core file and change this. up here our server requested with to just request method. Okay, so if we reload, you can see now that we're having problems. So let's go ahead and try this again. And we're getting my name is Baylor. So for some reason, it's not finding our put. So let's go back over here into our core and echo out our server variable again. And see what it's changed to. It's been changed to put. What we'll do is we'll say, we don't need to do that, never mind. I want to figure out why we have that space. So it's just because it's been put right there. Okay, watch, I haven't even added it yet, that's why. So self, when we go to put / into our controller, we want to load our controller update action. So reload, and you can see now we get our update action. Okay, so that's working. Now, one thing that we're going to want to do here is two things. We're eventually going to create helpers inside of our app so that we have things that can be added to our actual views, such as a form helper, like Ruby on Rails has. I know I'm not trying to recreate Ruby on Rails by any means, but Ruby on Rails is like a great foundation for an MVC model view controller type framework. So I hope to take a little bit of what they have, but I don't want to just like rewrite the whole thing, because I don't think PHP needs as much as what Ruby on Rails has, because I mean it's designed for a specific language. So, but one thing that we'll do is when we create a form helper, two things we'll do is we'll set it up where it automatically puts in the right controller and stuff, and if we're going to go ahead and check to see if it's the edit action, because if it is, then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set it up so that it automatically puts this here. Okay, so I mean everything's working pretty well. I mean if you use this put method, it actually gets put to this action. What we'll also do real quick is we'll say when you go to self delete, and when we actually go to the controller, then we're going to want to load the destroy action. Okay, so this won't load by default even when we do this right here. So we need to figure out a way to actually make it where you redirect to this. Basically, we're just going to have to create another form that'll actually redirect and use this same type of underscore method thing, except change that to delete. I know Ruby on Rails does this with a function, or with its link to function, where you actually create links and you can specify stuff. Essentially, what it does is you put in there the method is delete, and it automatically creates JavaScript where you click on the link and it creates a form and it redirects you to that URL with the delete method. An easy way to test it will be just to go over to our core, set our server request method equal to delete, and if we reload, oh, this needs to be capitalized. The destroy action could not be called. Let's figure out why. Because I misspelled it. Okay, so you can see that the destroy, oh man, the destroy action was called. Okay, so that's pretty neat and pretty easy to do. This video's been a little bit longer than I want it to be, and we've touched into other stuff that it's kind of a little, I don't know how well this video's actually been made, but so thanks for watching this video. Hopefully I haven't lost you too much by doing some of this stuff. This is about as deep as it's going to get with this type of thing. Strictly because, I mean, we're just working with this resource thing. We just have to create our 6 or 5 resources here because we don't have to create our one for the just regular controller. If we wanted to, we could do that self get when you just go to /controller Then we want to load the controller index action like that. So there we have all 6 of them. We can separate these a little bit because these 3 are a little bit more special. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I really like the Sammy little framework thing because it's so easy to do stuff like this. I mean, we don't have to do really any hard work because it's really hard to work with roots and stuff, and Sammy handles almost all of that perfectly. I mean, we don't have to do all that much. We just save our path up here. If we want to match a post method, you know, we just call this one method. If you go and look at see what Sammy has to do, it finds the method using a get method function or method, and then over here it actually makes sure that we have our root is found, and that we're trying to make sure that the root matches and with the URI that Sammy found, and then it's trying to make that the method matches the type. So I mean, it just does all this stuff that we don't have to do any of it. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you're liking the framework that we're creating, and goodbye.